Today, a good day for justice in America and a very bad day legally speaking for Donald Trump, as he and his companies with his top financial officer, as you recall, having already been convicted, and now he and other executives from the company and Trump and his children stand accused by the New York Attorney General Letitia James of fraud, lies, tax crimes, and more.
I am announcing that today we are filing a lawsuit against Donald Trump for violating the law as part of his efforts to generate profits for himself, his family, and his company.
The AG is using her power to also refer Trump for possible prosecution by the feds, sending new cases to the Southern District of New York and the IRS. How did we get here? We'll explore that and much more. Good evening from Los Angeles, California. I'm Dr. Ryan Ava. Attorney General Letitia James says her evidence shows that Trump business boiled down to a fraud. But Trump has always insisted that it was not, and that rather it was a golden brand built as a family business.
I'm the largest real estate developer in New York. My company's bigger than it ever was. It's stronger than it ever was.
It is a family brand.
We have a great family dynamic. I think that's probably the most incredible thing about the Trump organization. We really work well together. My primary job is making sure not to kill the golden goose, which is the brand and the brand that he's created over such a long period of time.
Now, everyone you just saw is accused in this new case, which seeks to use government power to ban them not only from running the Trump organization or funding it with more loans, but to ban them from doing that with any company in New York. Authorities have already made some progress there. Take Trump top money man. He's already barred from a range of business activity because he's now a convicted felon. Alan Weissenberg facing hard time at Rikers after pleading guilty. Now, Donald Trump denies any wrongdoing and says today, and I quote, "another witch hunt like the Mueller probe." End of quote. And he's entitled to defend himself and he'll get his day in court. The truth, however, is that some of the roots of today's legal move did begin during that Mueller probe, because it was that legal pressure which turned Michael Cohen from an almost comically extreme Trump defender to a cooperating star witness.
Never in a million years did I imagine, when I accepted a job in 2007 to work for Donald Trump, that he would one day run for the presidency, to launch a campaign on a platform of hate and intolerance, and actively win. I regret the day I said yes to Mr. Trump. I regret all the help and support I gave him along the way. I am ashamed of my own failings and publicly accepted responsibility for them by pleading guilty in the Southern District of New York. I am ashamed of my weakness and my misplaced loyalty, of the things I did for Mr. Trump in an effort to protect and promote him. I am ashamed that I chose to take part in concealing Mr. Trump's illicit acts rather than listening to my own conscience. I am ashamed because I know what Mr. Trump is. He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat. I know Mr. Trump. I've stood by him shoulder to shoulder for the past decade.
Did the president ever provide inflated assets to an insurance company?
Yes.
Do you think we need to review his financial statements and his tax returns in order to compare them?
Yes. I'm obviously very loyal and very dedicated to Mr. Trump. I think he's going to be a great president.
To your knowledge, did the president or his company ever inflate assets or revenues?
Yes.
And was that done with the president's knowledge or direction?
Everything was done with the knowledge and at the direction of Mr. Trump.
Saying Trump business was not about branding, not about innovation, but about lying to banks and insurers and the governments to reap off enough money to appear more profitable than the business was. Now, that shift did grow out of that legal pressure on Cohen, but that history is not a defense for Trump tonight. As Ari Melber at MSNBC pointed out, if the authorities show up to check out a 911 call about a burglary and they find some evidence of other crimes, they just don't ignore it because that was not what they called for or they showed up to begin with. It is their job to pursue it. So when Cohen said under oath that all the fraud was directed by Trump and said it in public, where everyone could hear, the authorities with jurisdiction over that company have a duty to investigate it. And that's what exactly the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, did within 1 month of the testimony you just saw in March of 2019.
In March 2019, she began this probe, culminating in today's 220-page filing, which wages a battle against Trump's now infamous tactics. You know about this. He does things to limit his legal exposure. Avoiding email, destroying records, using lawyers for dirty work to limit the evidence against him. Indeed, this new case picks up at a time when 5 Trump lawyers have faced legal trouble because of his actions. John Eastman, the coup plotter you see right there, plus Cohen, Clark, Giuliani, and a new lawyer under scrutiny in the classified documents case. So this is a thing he does, and prosecutors are very aware of it now. So see what James does here. In this new case today, she lays out a roadmap for how to win or possibly indict Trump if they take the referrals by documenting evidence that directly implicates Trump and deals with how much he uses lawyers and cutouts. So she has the receipts here that employees were acting at Mr. Trump's direction. Proof that Trump knew his acts were improper, personally employing deceptive schemes, personally pushing to increase the value of things, and other examples you see on the screen. Now, it's not personal, and the law is not supposed to be, but James is saying she has the receipts that Trump personally pushed and directed what she calls a fraud.
To support my work, please click the subscribe, the like button, and the notification bell so you wouldn't miss any of my new videos.